Hello, and thanks for listening to your SCAMLE's exclusive podcast, ExplorED. On these episodes, you will enjoy exclusive interviews with some names you recognize and some people you'll be meeting for the first time. In each of our episodes, we will ask you to think and grow and reflect as a professional educator. If you aren't yet a member of SCAMLE, we encourage you to join today. More information can be found at www.scamle.org. There, find out more information about membership, conferences, and professional development opportunities. And don't forget to join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. My name is Sarah Evanson Atkinson, and I serve as the Professional Development Director for your SCAMLE. I am an educator of 21 years and a past SCAMLE president as well. In episode 4, I had the opportunity to sit down and have a chat with Mr. Jack Berkmeyer. Now, Jack and I have known each other for a very long time, and I very much enjoy any opportunity I have to talk to him and learn from him and laugh with him because he's really a genuinely great guy and an amazing professional. But if I put away all that positive bias for a second, he offers us a really important insight in this episode that I'd like to echo. The work that we do with a young adolescent is targeted, it is special, it is unique. It has to be if it's going to be effective. In a training recently, I met an upcoming professional who informed me that much of the work I was discussing in this seminar didn't apply to him because he would be teaching high school sophomores. Now, unfortunately, the joke is going to be on him because adolescence technically lasts until we're 25 years old if we think about brain development. So whether we're talking about the young adolescent or the adolescent, the fact of the matter is that all of these learners require feedback. All of these learners still love stickers and positive reinforcement. They love having their excellent work and exemplars put on the refrigerator door. At the end, in your moment of reflection, I encourage you to remind yourself that the young people sitting in the seat in front of you are kids, and they're children with fears and worries and joys, many of which you will never know anything about. We have to do the difficult work of loving them every single day. We have to love them enough to praise them when they've done something excellent, and we have to love them enough to correct them gently when they're getting out of line. We have to love them enough to push them to be the best versions of themselves, and we have to love them enough to hold them to a high standard and support them on the way to their goals. So please enjoy episode 4 in this Back to School podcast series with Mr. Jack Berkmeyer. Now, as a hint, if you're sitting in the back of your faculty meeting trying to remain a little invisible, you might let out a giggle. So listen at your own risk. Please enjoy Mr. Jack Berkmeyer.
Well, we are here today with Mr. Jack Berkmeyer. I'm very excited. Jack, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Where are you? What's going on? What's happening?
It's crazy. We have listeners from all over the world now, and I'm very, very excited about that.
Wow, these are very lonely people.
Not lonely. They're professionals, Jack. Professionals.
Oh.
So I'd like to say welcome to everyone who's listening today. And then I also want to, I'm going to let Jack introduce himself. So Jack, what do you do in education? How long have you served? Where do your professional passions exist? And what parts of your work are still under development?
Thank you so much for giving me those questions, just like you would a student, which is 8 questions at a time, and I can't even remember the first one you asked. So let me break that down for you, Sarah. First of all, who am I and what am I doing in education or something? It's a great question. I've wondered who I am for years, and I don't know the answer other than my name is Jack Berkmeyer, and I am so lucky and so fortunate to work with schools all over the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. And I just love what I do, which is teaching teachers, which is to me the hardest job on the face of the earth. Kids are easy, teachers are not, only because many of us have been to some of the worst professional development on the face of the earth. But I kind of changed that up because one, I'm kind of funny, and I think that helps. And two is I'm very practical, meaning like when I work with schools and I work with teams, especially in middle schools, I give them advice that I've done as a teacher and that hundreds of middle schools are doing across the country. So I think that's an added perk. And the other is that I tend to bring in the logical reasons of things and a little bit of background and research as well, because I think when I was a teacher, I remember I wanted three things. I wanted someone that would make me laugh, someone that would basically give me a great idea and then give me the reason why. And the hard part is with some PD, you get someone who are so practical. Like, have you ever had someone that's really practical and you think to yourself, who is this person? Mary Poppins? Like, I literally don't even have matching socks, and this person's classroom is like utopia. So that always intimidated me. People are overly funny. I laugh, but I didn't learn. And if you don't explain why you're doing it, I'm kind of lost. So that's kind of what I've used as my little hook, line, and sinker to get teachers to kind of listen and learn in the process. And I also own this company called Nuts and Bolts, which is a summer conference we do in various parts of the lovely United States. So that's me in a nutshell. My passion in education has been middle level education. It's who I am. I do K-12 kickoff speeches and love doing those. But what I love and what I adore is dealing with anything with young adolescents, because let's be honest, for those educators who are teaching middle school kids, they're a little bit abnormal to begin with, because that's, you have to be a middle school teacher. You have to be a little bit of it. Here it comes, Sarah. You have to be a little bit of a whack-a-damn-doodle to pretty much kind of be in a middle school. And I love teachers that are wackadoodles. I love that. I love that we have kids that basically challenge us every day, but ultimately still have a good heart and good soul. And like I tell every fifth grade or sixth grade teacher, become unconscious for 50 seconds, see what happens. You'll wake up on a spit and they form tribes. That's why I like middle school kids.
So thinking about the fall and the adventure that sits before us, what do you think principals should be focusing on right now as we head back to school? What do you think should be priority one?
Sure. In regards to administrators, Sarah, you know this, and other people that have followed me, my goal is to be ruler of education, and not, because I would have edicts, and one lady said to me one time when I said, I want to be ruler of education, she said, I would vote for you. And I said, look, when I'm ruler, you don't vote. So my first edict
you don't vote. It just happens.
You don't vote.
Yeah.
No, these are unconditionals. They got to happen, right? And so the first unconditional that's got to happen is, and administrators, you have to do this. I know you have to deliver data. You have to give teachers data and you have to give them information. I get it. But here's the new rule. For every hour of data, why aren't we spending 10 minutes about understanding our clientele? Meaning, if you're in a middle school specifically, why aren't you talking about the fads, the fashions, the trends, and the slang of your children? Meaning that, yes, that data is important, but ultimately, let's talk about our kids, our clientele. I was taking, you know what? That could be the new education word. It's like it's mixing clientele and climate together.
You heard it here first, friends. Jack Berkmeyer, clientele.
Yeah, that clientele. And so literally, it's like, what does your climate need? And what is our culture of our climate of our school? And ultimately, do they match? And having those conversations. I think that's important if I was an administrator. Hour of data, 10 minutes of let's talk about our kids.
Let's now shift to classroom teaching. And so I'm getting ready for my students to come back, and I'm making my classroom what it needs to be for the fall. What would you tell, what should be priority one for a classroom teacher?
Well, again, there's so many answers to that question in regards to one, like that classroom itself. I've been really lucky when I do long-term work with schools, I'll do some focus groups with kids and I ask them what engages them and what motivates them. And what's funny is I'll do the activity with teachers and I'll ask them to put what they think students say. And, teachers will always say like food, friends, grades, extra credit. Okay, that's on their list. But as a teacher, let me tell you what most of our kids say. They want an inviting classroom. They want a classroom that looks like them, that makes them want to come to that classroom, which means, Sarah, if you still have that old poster that says, hang in there, kitten, with the cat on it ain't going to work. I mean, it's not designed for kids. And I have to tell you, I've seen some amazing classrooms, and I'm going to give you two. We have time for two, and I'm going to give you two that I've seen that were the best ever. One was a friend of mine who is a hoarder, and he found 3 toilets and he cleaned them up and he made them look really, really nice. He put them on a platform. He wheels them in anytime the kids do silent reading. And I think it is the funniest, smartest thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And he puts the books in the back of the tank. So basically when kids need to do silent reading, they go over to the commode and sit and do the silent reading. And I'm thinking, this guy's a genius because he's teaching kids basically a life skill. The second one is a teacher that gutted out a refrigerator and he mounted the refrigerator in his room. And anytime the kids do something they're proud of, they put it on the fridge.
I love that.
And by the way, he's a 12th grade teacher.
See, and that, it's so interesting that you say that, because I was in a training recently and it was a mixed bag of middle school teachers and high school teachers. And I was talking about classroom management, and I was talking about very specific kinds of strategies and feedback techniques and the like. And one of the teachers said to me, well, but I'm going to be teaching high school, so this doesn't apply to me. And I said, I'm not sure I agree.
Well, I think the issue is that because of high stakes testing, because of the accountability people, my good brother from another mother, Rick Wormley, sums it up where he says, stop using the shield of standards to no longer be creative. Our kids this year, especially, our teachers and our kids need to laugh. They need to play, they need to sing, they need to dance, and they need to have fun. School needs to be fun again. And there's no excuse for us not to have fun in school, other than we are the obstacle of that fun. And I hope that as teachers go back, as principals go back, make your faculty meetings a little bit more fun, make your classroom a little bit more fun. And here's what I tell everybody: this year, you need 3 people in your life in regards to education: 1 person that makes you laugh, 1 person that allows you to vent, and 1 person that will share ideas with you. And by the way, sometimes that isn't the same person for all 3. Because there are people that are really good at letting you vent, but they wouldn't share a teaching idea if their life depended on it.
We have to be very picky and choosy about our friends circle. Dr. McDonald, in one of the other episodes, talked about the importance of partnership with the community, partnership with our families, partnership with our parents. And for a long time, teachers have felt a very us versus them mentality. And I think it has to break open. I don't think we have a choice. We have to partner with families and parents. First of all, what's your opinion on that? And then the second part of that would be, how do schools go about building that in a positive way?
Yeah, I think, first of all, this Dr. McDonald guy sounds like he's really smart. I need to meet him at some point in time. He sounds far smarter than I am. Here's the good news. Ready for good news? I think because of the situation with COVID, I think for the first time ever, that bridge between teachers and parents have actually come together. Because here's why. I think parents have finally realized that there's a difference between teaching a child and raising a child. They are 2 completely different things, meaning you raise a child with love, compassion, support. We teach children with rigor, high expectations, non-negotiables, meaning like you have to do this. Parents cave far easier than teachers do in those expectation pieces. And I think during COVID, every educator got an email from a parent which said, my child is disrespectful. They are not paying attention. They're not doing their work. And teachers are over here going, I told you so. I told you so. Like, we knew this. So I think for the first time ever, there is this bridge where parents have realized that their kids might have some deficiencies, and those deficiencies can only be caught up via school. And so I think they're going to rely on us to really help their children, as opposed to thinking about it as an adversarial point of view. And I think the second thing to do is that we need to thank parents at the beginning of the school year better than we ever have. We need parades again. We need, like we did for teachers when we were all celebrating teachers, we need to thank parents. We need to literally bring them in and say, we want to thank you for everything that you've done. If you're an administrator, make a video and send that video out to your community, just saying thank you so much for what you've done for your children, for our school, for our community. And then ultimately too, get some of those, and I've seen a lot of opening convocations where they've done this, Sarah, and I loved it. It was where they bring in all the local businesses and churches, and they all kind of hand out things for teachers. It's like a trick or treat. And teachers go around with a bag, and all of them have a little something, just a little something as a thank you for being teachers and to start off that school year. And I loved that idea, because there are businesses that would come and bring a coupon or bring a pen or something. I mean, they would do anything just to thank the educators in their community. And the last thing we need to do in regards to that is we need to do more things for parents in regards to either raising an adolescent and really talking about what it means to raise an adolescent. And the problem is administrators will go, only 7 parents showed up. Well, that's 7 more parents who understand young adolescents. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. So that's what I would do is, let's celebrate, let's get back and do some professional development for parents. Why not? I think they're craving it right now, that's for sure.
No, I totally agree. I mean, we're throwing the doors open for the students here in South Carolina. And I know that some teachers have a lot of trepidation about how that's going to look, and I mean, the realities of the world are what they are, but I think that if we have our minds in the right place and our hearts in the right place with regards to really partnering with families, and that I think the students are watching. I think they'll see that partnership, and I think that can only make us all stronger.
You know what it is? It's our school, our community, our team, our kids. All in, baby. All in.
So, Jack, final question, and then I get to let you talk about what kind of cool projects you're working on next. So for those that are listening who are going, gosh, there's so much good stuff out there, podcast, book, resources, you name it. What is a recommendation you'd have for what people should be reading and looking at right now?
You know, my focus is obviously I'm going to talk about young adolescents and middle school kids, but right now, you know, there's more information out on the brain development in regards to young adolescents, which, by the way, young adolescents is 10 through 15-year-olds, adolescents is 16 through 25. And so I really would focus on what that brain is looking like after COVID, which I know there's going to be some more information coming out. If you look at some of the most recent surveys in regards to issues, you know, I thought we were kind of done with the issues around bulimia and anorexia. I mean, there was cases of it, but not as much as there was in the late 80s, early 90s. Well, they're saying right now, I saw a report that literally said that 47% of middle school boys and girls are back to experiencing that, because again, a lot of their time was on social media. So therefore they feel, you know, body shaming and all of those kinds of things. So honestly, read up on your clientele. I've always said, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, be committed to the age group you teach. That means knowing the fads, the fashions, the trends, and the slang, and the research in regards to what your grade level's about. So I can't give you one specific book to say, go read this, but I think there's some tons of great articles out there to kind of get your mind back on what our children look like after a pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, talk about cutting edge. I mean, in our lifetimes, we've never experienced something like this. So it's unclear, especially, you know, the last time that it happened, there wasn't Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter around. So certainly we're in a brave new world. Our time is almost done here today. So what kinds of projects do you have going on? And what do you want our listeners to know about what's going on with Jack Burkmeyer and his empire?
Wow. You know, I'm starting off small. I'm going to just go after world peace.
Okay. World peace.
Hunger and poverty, you know, just these small little things that can be answered so simply, obviously. And I don't mean that as sarcasm. I just mean that for me, I stay in my lane is what I tend to do. I'm really good at staying in my lane. And what I mean by that is all my projects, everything that I'm doing is really related, obviously, to middle level education, because that's my heart, my soul, my passion. And so I am forcing myself at some point in time to hunker down and redo Taming of the Team, because I think it's time for me to redo that and kind of beef it up a little bit and change some things around on what is good teaming practice. What are those effective elements of teaming? Because again, we're evolving and changing. So I'm going to work on that. And then ultimately, you know, back to school, K-12 kickoff speeches. But for me, most of my work, believe it or not, is long-term. I have 5 long-term commitments with school districts from anywhere from 15 days to another one that has 45 days with me in the school district. And I love it because I can work with teams, I can work with schools, I can actually help them in their vision and where they want to go. And I'm not known for a lot of things, but I think most people, when you're thinking of someone in middle school or you need help with middle school, get a hold of Jack Burkmeyer, and that makes me feel great. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. And then, of course, this summer, pending what's going on, we'll have several nuts and bolts symposiums. And Sarah, we're doing a lot with school districts directly now too. So, which I think is great, where we're bringing in our team of people to do something in the summer for their entire school district. And I love that because 1, it's affordable, and 2, what a great way to get, you know, as many teachers excited and motivated about school. So love it.
All right. So any other piece of advice, any other last thoughts that you want to leave with everybody?
No, I mean, you know, we've heard it all this last year, and I think it extends into this year. It's about some grace. Give yourself grace, give your own children at home some grace, give your spouse some grace, your partner some grace, give your students some grace, you know, give the people behind the checkout counter some grace. You know, we're so tense right now, and it's so sad. My joke is I'm afraid to tell someone to have a nice day because they might look at me and say, don't tell me what kind of day to have. So it's like,
don't you tell me what to do.
Yeah, don't you tell me what kind of day to have. So a little grace